Hi there, Reject Nation. I'm Greg Alba.
I'm John Humphrey.
We're going to watch this Game of Thrones The Loot Train Attack video from HBO. I don't know how old this video is. Must be pretty old. I think this is a making of thingy.
It's exciting.
So, whatever top reward tiers on Patreon, whatever video requests we must definitely do and put up on YouTube. Today comes from Canadian firefighter Lance Dorr. Let's check this out, shall we?
Oh, we shall.
Bronn, Jaime, horses, Dothraki.
That's right. I said, this is bigger than Bob. And David and Dan said, how can it be bigger than Bob? I said, it's bigger than Bob.
It's definitely got a bit of that Western feel, but then you throw dragons in.
What is bigger than Bob?
This guy Bob is so big.
What if somebody had an F-16
I'm not sure.
that they brought to a medieval battle?
There you have Daenerys Targaryen unleashed for the first time in Westeros, and she is going to show them what she can do.
With every time that something goes wrong,
Oh, Battle of the
more
Bastards.
Targaryen comes out.
Oh.
Fire comes out. So she starts to take matters into her own hands.
The Loot Crate Attack.
When you have a big battle sequence, especially one where you have multiple points of view, you have to figure out how you balance those and what is this sort of chief point of view that you want to lean on. And I chose to focus on Jaime, that it was about being on the other side of a dragon attack, trying to hold together his troops in the middle of watching the world change forever.
It's just complete annihilation. And like you see the horror of so many men just burned to ashes. There's nothing you can do.
That is
It's
voice?
scary.
I guess so.
Damn.
Without ever striking back.
Well, he's like,
And there's only so much of that Dany can take. There's only so much of that anyone would be able to take.
We're now left with our heroes, and our heroes are on opposite ends of this chessboard.
Tyrion has the most complex set of emotions about this battle of anyone because he's got the woman he serves on one end and he's got his brother who he loves on the other end.
And it's a real struggle for him. Every piece of his being is wishing he can intercede, but he can't. And I'm seeing firsthand my family lose.
She's the aggressor, and Jaime and Bronn, through their POV, we see that it ain't pretty conquering. And
yeah.
the hope is that the audience doesn't know who to root for in that sequence.
Something like the loot train involves a lot of different departments, all working at sort of the very extremes of their abilities, I think.
This was a difficult challenge because there are so many different looks and phases of the battle that come into play.
There's a lot of continuity to make sure that we're in the right space, in the right part of the process, reflecting the right amount of burn.
And then
But I'll sum up my feelings on it in one
in the
sentence.
cracks of everybody else doing their
It's pretty cool.
That's the entire sequence.
Yeah, whatever.
This is a wagon train and involves 27 wagons and there are various bits of dressing. We have to reshuffle the entire set constantly,
Cool.
which means dressing 180 degrees or 360 depending on the camera movement. So it means we have to be very particular when it comes to dressing our burnt elements, our unburnt elements, our partial burnt elements.
There's so many stages to consider, but it's definitely a hell of a lot more fun when it gets into the bloody battle.
We have a dye that we're using, which is an eco-friendly dye, which dyes things black to make it look very charred and burnt. And we're using several forms of ash as well.
sweet.
To make it all look authentic, along with charcoal and stuff like that.
Maybe when you're watching it, it doesn't necessarily stand out, and that means that we've done our job.
Aw.
Because people just accept this is the world and that's the environment.
Is that a real horse?
Front line of defense, and
Yeah.
detail is our job, so we're very happy about it.
When I get to a sequence like the one we're doing right now, I take a deep breath and go, oh boy, that is going to be a lot of work.
We had every toy.
Yeah.
With 4 cameras.
Just simple way to.
Up to 7 or 8 cameras.
We've gone through 3 different tracking vehicles for different purposes on this. We've got basically a souped up pickup truck with really good suspension for all our charges, Dothraki charges and what have you. We've got another electric vehicle called a shadow tracker, and we've got a jib arm on that. And then finally we've got basically a souped up dune buggy with a stabilized head on it that takes all the bounce out and gives us a nice steady smooth shot to use over the particularly rough terrain.
We needed to sell speed.
Wow.
And we needed to shoot elaborate dragon points of view.
To do those kinds of shots, we're relying on two different camera platforms. One is what's called Spider Cam. This is basically a camera rigged to a cable run between two construction cranes, and they can move the camera very quickly from one end to the other. And the camera can go about 70 miles per hour.
We also used a company
Whoa.
which is like a souped up drone. It's like a small helicopter.
Yeah.
They were also able to go very fast and have a much more solid image to be able to work with than you would get from a traditional drone.
So we can fly over things safely and also have interactive effect on the ground and capture all those elements that will have a dragon either in front of the lens or above the
Oh,
lens.
it's so cool.
The battle is going to rely very heavily on visual effects at the end of the day. There's a lot of different beats to the attack.
Sort of like cowboys and Indians and fire-breathing dragons all rolled up into one.
There's Drogon breathing lots of fire, setting lots of things and people
Ooh.
on fire.
Ooh.
To give an idea, in season 6, which was our biggest season up to that point, we had 11 shots that featured Amelia riding the dragon. In the loot train, we have over 80.
Oh, challenge.
Trying to figure out this dragon who's 100 feet up in the air, who breathes fire of a column of 30 feet wide.
Wow.
How are you going to do that?
You've got Amelia on the back of a motion base that's animated to fly in concert with the animation on the dragon.
So that the thing she's moving on is moving around as if she was really riding on Drogon, but in a stage in Belfast in front of green screen.
So being on this theme park ride, which is kind of what it is, and you're strapped in, then looking like you are controlling it, when there's so much going on, you just got to harness every single bit of imagination you have and just use it. I mean, can you even imagine being on the back of a reptile that's breathing fire at your command? That's huge.
Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah.
One of the most
Respect.
complicated shots was this strafe run where the camera's over the back
Oof.
of Dany as she is blasting the shit out of this line of Lannisters and loot train carriages.
We had to have Spider
Man, that's
Cam
amazing.
fly the camera in real time.
It's easy to take this shit for granted.
Oh, yeah, because when it cuts together, you're not supposed to know about any of it.
Sam is our effects guru, and he's kind of a madman in the best possible way. And one of his responsibilities is setting things on fire, which he's really good at.
The strafe run was 100
Looks like that kind of guy.
feet long. And it had 15 rows of charges. We tested it in Madrid back in August. We only tested a short section of it, minus the cuts, because we were still making those.
All the effect has to mimic as though the flame is coming from the sky. So we'll always size up the flame later in post, and we'll shoot elements of flame against black. But Sam here has to make it feel that the impact of the flame is pushing along, so it has a travel to it.
I mean, we've been blowing things up on many days, but working out the timing of that was quite a process.
In the end, we went with a fuel mix and explosives, with almost like a machine gun sort of strafe, but closer together. And as each one exploded, it would then engulf the next and the next and the next, so you almost get a seamless line of flame just growing through.
Because it was only one take, there was a lot that could go wrong. There was a lot of materials used and a lot of pyro used as well. So it's the excitement of when that button is pressed.
Oh, that was...
Euphoria you feel afterwards. Knowing the hard work that's involved, it all comes to that point. That's the pride, that's the excitement, that's the reason.
Yeah, but beep, 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 beep.
George Martin's often said that the Dothraki are kind of an amalgam
interesting.
of American Indian tribes and Mongols, both peoples who were phenomenal on horseback, and they were just much faster and so unorthodox in their battle approach that they could literally ride circles around their enemies.
I think there was a line in the outline that said, and it's down to Camilla to do her tricks. I was like,
That's how you know you're good at your job.
on screen before.
She said, the Dothraki are coming down. If they all just stood up on their horses and started shooting arrows at them. And I thought, well, that sounds great, but that's not possible. As we build these special stirrups, if we can do it.
So I sent a team out here with the horses.
Holy shit!
Which was then sent.
Holy shit!
one foot on the side of the horse and the other foot on the top of the saddle.
So we have these guys standing up, and we're endeavouring to try and create something that somebody hasn't seen before.
And it's extraordinary. It's like a wave rising up from a still ocean, and all these guys perfectly coordinated rising up, and I love it. And it shows us that the Dothraki are horse masters, because we really haven't had that opportunity before.
You know, so much of these battle scenes now has become visual effects that I hope people realize that much of this is actually being done. It's really, stuntmen standing up on horses with bow and arrow, shooting arrows. And
Wow. Something about a guy on a horse, standing on a horse, charging. There's something pretty impressive where you go, you don't just do that.
And we were kind of thinking to do something Mad Max. When they come in, it's crazy. They're coming in different shapes. You don't know where they're coming from, and they're just these absolute madmen on horses. And that's what we try to recreate on screen for the loot train sequence.
God, this dude has to just casually stand with fire on his back.
Guys, can we please roll this shot?
This battle was the most fire-intensive one we've had.
We burned more stuntmen than has ever been burned in a single shot and in a single sequence.
The dragons have grown. They're the size of a 747 now. So you'd think that.
What is that? An aeroplane.
Potentially the most full burns ever done on TV history, which is burning 20 men in one shot, which we have coming up.
And there was a few raised eyebrows when I said
Badass.
And it wasn't just because it's a record, although it is. It was because we just needed to see the scope of what was happening. So that was quite a challenge.
The difficulty with 20 people is just that you ramp up the safety aspect of it because there's more people in harm's way, there's more that can go wrong.
That was quite nerve-wracking for many reasons. Obviously, when you have that amount of people collecting and they're all on fire, you get a lot of heat gathering in the centre. So I was really concerned about the guys in the middle. And I wanted to make sure we get the guys on the outsides as far away from the guys on the inside as quickly as possible.
We're using Tamar poppers. There's basically like a camping cylinder, and we put it inside a metal cage so that the shrapnel won't hurt anybody. And we basically put a pyro charge on that, which explodes the gas popper, creates a 15-foot fireball.
Wow. Whoa.
During this whole process where you're on fire, you do have to hold your breath, and that's the key point is to keep your heart rate down so you can hold your breath throughout the whole scene.
Riley's big on making it as calm as possible. If someone's on fire, it's quite a high adrenaline thing going on, and saving your breath is very important. So you've got to be calm.
Wow.
We are a show that doesn't sit on our laurels, so we do try and top ourselves each year. Although we seem to make it more and more difficult for ourselves as we go on.
There's just a fear factor, of course, that we see now on fire. Never mind 20 guys in one go. It's scary.
Everyone's like freaking out.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
When we start making these huge battles, it's so hard to imagine that we're ever going to finish because there's so many moving pieces, but it's ultimately just, one shot at a time and then figuring it out from there.
The cameras and the actors and stunts, and it was very much an all hands on deck sequence as much as we've ever had.
Oh.
And everybody did an excellent job of fitting all the puzzle pieces together.
This is big cinema, and to get to work in all those genres all rolled into one fantastic world, that's the part I like.
You never know what they're going to throw at you. Last year we completely Battle of the Bastards, and it was like, oh yeah, how about this year? So it's good. They're always up the ante, and I love that.
It naturally gets bigger, this show. It just does. It's not me doing it. They write it.
It's a unique challenge.
Wow.
I'll never really be able to do that kind of thing again. And the next time I get to work on some other show, it'll be so boring. Where's the cable cam? Where's the 5 cameras and the 20 burning guys?
I think you'll like the break.
Yeah, you'll get a lot of sleep.
Wow.
Oh, just bask in the magic of cinema.
That was just
movie magic.
That was just one battle.
Yeah.
They didn't even cover the whole battle.
No.
Just like very specific.
Just the dragon
sequences of the battle that all encompass a few minutes of an episode of television at the end of the day.
That was intense, man. I love watching stuff like this because this is the kind of stuff that really makes me appreciate the undertaking, obviously, because they really broke down every component, it seemed like, of that battle, you know, from the ground up, from dressing it and making the environment to all the different effects. And it was funny because, like, at certain times they would bring something up and be like, oh yeah, that would be its whole own operation. And it just reminds you that it is like a big Rube Goldberg machine where, like, a bunch of things have to be all coordinated and working together at the same time to make this happen.
Yeah, but, you know, we'll criticize the show.
Yeah, you know, because we know.
So's ever. Yeah.
You know, who cares?
Let's fight each other in the comments about
People risk their lives and stuff, and a lot of professional experts got together to make this happen. But, you know, like, I was entertained for 45 minutes.
It's just a bunch of fights now. Where's the story?
Yeah.
One part of me has this slight cynic of, I kind of wish I don't watch these because it could take away the magic of some of the show. But then at the same time, whenever I watch these, I do realize that I'm also in that seat of, I do take for granted just how much. I mean, yeah, we're covering a battle moment, not even the whole battle, but the amount of work these filmmakers and everyone on set puts in for a show. At the end of the day, it is just a television show. Yeah. And even though the show means a lot to so many people, we can never take for granted just how much work hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people are at the end of the day putting this together for something that we could illegally download online. You know, or
makes you maybe not want to illegally download stuff so much.
Like, I got HBO Now, and $15 a month for all the television, and then just to get a little snippet of this for, like, just for our own entertainment. It's best to just, you know, indulge in the positive fandom side of all these things, of seeing what these guys are working so hard to put together for us. I'm just very grateful, because there are things I'll just take for granted, you know? It's easier to criticize when effects look silly, but how often do we... I feel like nowadays, especially on the internet, whenever I point out, like, man, these effects look great, there's always some comment. This is why I've chosen not to read comments lately. One of the many reasons of just like, oh, it's so easy to just say the effects look good. It's such a cliche thing to say. Like, well, you know, they work hours and hours and hours. So I'm going to give credit where credit's due. The effects, when they were showing, like, the pre-effects of the dragon and how, like, oh, those early stages don't look very good. And then when they show the actual show footage, like, looks like a real dragon's there, just like blowing all these people up. Or something I never even thought of. I just take it for granted. All those stuntmen, how they had to rig something for them to ride the horses, the Dothraki characters, and be standing on the horses while riding. That's something I just never crossed my mind when I watched that battle. Like, oh wow, how'd they do that? You know?
Yeah, it just feels so natural in the moment, and the way it all comes together. And that's the thing, is that's the weird part about so much in a movie or a TV show or anything, is that so many people... I think that's part of the conundrum that leads to that kind of armchair critic mentality, or you know, the way we don't necessarily appreciate what goes into these things, is because they're supposed to be invisible by the time it gets to you.
And because we always judge the final product, but we never really factor in, and both you and I are guilty of this too. We'll forget to factor in that, well, there are people who worked like many months on this.
There are people who have spent like good portions of their lives probably working on this show, who like moved out to Iceland or wherever they shoot, and you know, have dedicated.
Yeah, we'll judge the final product, but we'll completely forget to give credit or acknowledgement or gratitude to the fact that people did labor upon this thing for so many hours, and so many weeks and months, you know?
Well, that's to the larger point, is like, that's why I never take... unless a movie or a show actively upsets me in some kind of core way where I just feel like, whatever kind of led to this project is rotten. Like, unless that, I do not really take much delight in laying into anything or casting anything off frivolously, just because of the respect for the amount of... Nobody wants to make something bad, which is kind of a cliched thing to say now, but, you know, for so many of the things we see, everybody wants it to turn out good. Everybody's bringing their A game and their expertise, and every production is so many departments working over so much time in so many different coordinated locksteps that, like, it's really impressive when good stuff comes together, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can just see from this behind the scenes in and of itself how for this one sequence on set, there's hundreds of people working together. And then in post, there's tens of people working together in post, you know? There's there's just so many different variety of opinions that the fact that they've managed to come this far with the show, and it's a TV show, you know? Something like this for a movie would be very impressive too, but I think especially for a television series, the amount of wanting to up their game and up the ante and really just try to make it look that much bigger and better every season blows my mind of how much labor they put into it. Because at the end of the day, when you're doing all these technicalities for cool battle sequences, they all have to come back to the story. You know, how's the emotion here? How's the storyline? Because when I think of that battle, I always think of the last moment when Jaime is riding towards Daenerys. He's gonna kill her, and then Bronn tackles him, and the dragon fires. That's where I think of. I'm thinking of the emotional context of that scene, which I didn't even touch on here. but that's where my mind goes to. But I wouldn't have felt any of that weight of that moment. Of course, without all the investment of the characters over the years, yada yada yada. But because of the whole battle leading up to that moment too, you know. Totally. So you got to think about not just does this look cool?
That's the coordination of having to really hammer in both, and also the amount of relying you have to do on your team, you know, because everybody's got to be serving the greatest good of the show. And if that happens, you know, then hell yeah. And if departments falter, you know.
So as much as I don't like dealing with comments on when we covered Game of Thrones, I just want to go back to just enjoying the show. I just want to go back to just kicking back as if there isn't a camera pointed at me.
Because this is an event.
We'll record the reactions. This is an event for you guys, for us.
For everybody.
We all want to be involved in it. So, for anyone who watches the show, so I just want to kick back with the show and just enjoy. I want everyone to just love this, especially this last season. Because I know this is from season 7, but, you know, this last season especially. They've come this far. Anyway, Lance Dorr, thank you so much for requesting this, dude. This was an awesome video. Got a lot more from it than I expected to. So it's a great recommendation, buddy.
Yeah, dude.
I appreciate you hitting me up in my Patreon inbox as well, saying, you know, make sure to avoid Instagram and all that because there are major spoilers for Endgame going around. You know how to keep a lookout, dude. And
that's your fireman's instinct right there, always looking out for people. Putting out the fires online as well as in the people world.
You're all right, Sean. And he also was saying that he really hopes a Stark sits on the Iron Throne.
That'd be cool.
It's not going to be a Stark. It's going to be a Lannister.
It's going to be a Greyjoy.
It's going to be a Greyjoy. No one's going to see that coming.
Yeah. Whoa, Theon, what the heck?
Nicholas Theon.
Whoa. You know what I
hope? Whip his pants off. And basketball.
Yeah.
Be like, look at my dickless throne sitting.
And I'm still the king. So what? Suck it. Suck what? Fair. Lance should move to Iceland and start putting out like stuntman
Lancaster.
Lancaster always pays his debts to our
Patreon page. All right, guys. Well, you can subscribe to the Reject Nation. Click that notification bell and Game of Thrones. Watch along with us on our Patreon page.